Welcome back to the channel Future Speed Hub 2026. Today we are taking a closer look at one of the most important armored vehicles from World War II, the Japanese Type 97 Kaiha medium tank. Known as the workhorse of the Imperial Japanese Army during the Second World War, this tank played a significant role across multiple battlefronts, from the jungles of Southeast Asia to the Pacific Islands. Even though it was not the heaviest or most advanced tank of its time, the Type 97 Kaiha carried with it a legacy that tells us much about the strategies, technologies, and limitations of Japan's wartime armored forces. The Type 97 Kaiha was developed in the late 1930s as a replacement for earlier Japanese light tanks. At the time, Japan realized that its older tank designs were underpowered and outmatched by the armored vehicles being produced by rival nations. The Kaiha was designed to fill the role of a medium tank, giving the Japanese Army more flexibility in both offensive and defensive operations. It weighed around 15 tons, which made it relatively light compared to tanks like the American Sherman or the Soviet T-34. This lighter weight, however, made it more suitable for deployment in rough jungle terrains and island operations, where heavier tanks often struggled. One of the key features of the Kaiha was its 57mm gun, which was adequate during its early service years but soon proved to be underpowered against the increasingly armored Allied tanks. Later, an upgraded version, known as the Type 97 Shinoto Kaiha, was fitted with a more powerful 47mm high-velocity gun. This upgrade gave the tank a better fighting chance against Allied armor, though it was still often at a disadvantage against heavier vehicles like the Sherman. In terms of protection, the armor of the Type 97 was relatively thin, offering between 8 to 33mm of steel plating. While this was enough to protect against small arms fire and light anti-tank weapons, it was not sufficient against the larger caliber guns fielded by the Allies. This vulnerability meant that the crews operating the Kaiha had to rely heavily on speed, maneuverability, and tactics rather than brute force. The Kaiha was powered by a Mitsubishi diesel engine, producing around 170 horsepower. This allowed the tank to reach speeds of up to 38 km/h on roads, which was considered decent for its time. The use of a diesel engine was an advantage compared to gasoline engines, as it reduced the risk of catastrophic fires when the tank was hit in battle. The reliability of this engine made the Kaiha a durable machine, capable of performing in the harsh conditions of Asia and the Pacific. The Kaiha saw extensive service throughout World War II. It first entered combat during the conflict in China and was later deployed during Japan's early conquests in the Pacific, including the Philippines, Malaya, and Burma. Against lighter Allied forces in the early stages of the war, the Kaiha performed well. However, as the conflict progressed and the Allies introduced more advanced tanks, the limitations of the Kaiha became clear. Battles such as those in the Philippines in 1944 and on the island of Saipan highlighted how outmatched the Kaiha was against the Sherman. Despite its shortcomings, the Kaiha remained a vital part of Japanese armored divisions until the end of the war. Its relatively low cost and ease of production meant that Japan could manufacture and deploy large numbers of these tanks. After the war, captured Kaiha tanks were even used by other nations in Asia, including China, where they continued to see limited service in the years that followed. The legacy of the Type 97 Kaiha lies not in its battlefield dominance but in what it represents. It shows how Japan's tank development was shaped by the unique challenges of the environments in which they fought. It also reflects the technological gap between Japan and the major tank-producing powers of the time. While the Kaiha may not have matched the firepower or armor of its rivals, it was a symbol of Japanese persistence, ingenuity, and adaptation during a global conflict. As we look back today, the Type 97 Kaiha stands as a reminder of the varied and complex history of World War II armor. Each tank, whether considered powerful or weak, tells part of the story of how nations fought, adapted, and evolved their strategies and technologies in the most destructive war in history. The Kaiha's story continues to fascinate historians, military enthusiasts, and model builders alike, as it represents a unique chapter in the history of armored warfare. Thank you for joining us here on Future Speed Hub 2026 to explore the history and details of the Type 97 Kaiha. If you enjoy learning about military technology, history, and the machines that shape the modern world, make sure to stay connected with the channel for more. I will see you in the next video.